Hey you guys, it's your girl Josh coming back to you from Real Takes. Today I'll be doing a review to Siren. This is episode 7 and this one is titled Dead in the Water. Now this was a great episode. I love the pacing they're doing with the show. You're learning more about Ren, you're learning more about the mermaids, and just seeing a little bit more character development with some other characters within the show, mainly Xander. Now, this one, if you remember in the last episode, episode 6, one of the officers shows up at the pier dock of where the boats are, and of course, Ren looks like she was about to jump in, whichever, because she was conflicted to leave, being that she knows her sister Donna had already left. She gets stopped, and from there it starts episode 7. It shows Ren being taken into custody for questioning, hence of course the sheriff wanting to bring her in to talk to her because he feels that she's a part of the murder of that guy towards the beginning of the first episode. Now it's kind of sad because of course, they're looking at some ranged female who's acting out, but unbeknownst to the sheriff and of course his officers, whatever, they don't know, they think she's on something, she's high or whatever. So, of course, you see this scene where she's, of course, chained inside of one of the interrogation rooms, and she's sitting there, and from there, he wants to start asking her questions about. Now, prior to that, there's a scene we see Xander wanting to go back out into the water because, of course, he ran into Donna on the actual dock part when she jumps in. She has her transformation, whichever. So he calls Ben, and of course, Maddie's trying to verify what he think the mermaids would go. Excuse me, and kind of giving Ben a heads up to kind of let Xander know so if he's there, he can kind of, find a way to cause Xander to decide to, help them, not to utilize them or take advantage of them or whichever, because let's just be honest, Xander still doesn't know fully everything. Ben is not being honest with them, and like I said, that's going to be an issue come going to the last couple of episodes once he finally realizes how much Ben really knows. Now, granted, he is still trying to be a friend to him, and he's still giving information, but he's just not telling him everything. So of course he goes to get his friends Calvin and Chris to come on there, like, we're going to go up there, you're dealing with the Navy, these people, they could be out there, whatever, we're going to be in a way, we'll get in trouble, whatever. He's like, I'm running the show. He's like, well, let's get your father, let him know we're taking the ball. He's like, no, I'm gonna run this one, this is me. So they go out into the water, and they're getting there, they got the coordinates from Maggie so they could show up, but in the midst of that, he doesn't realize that his father, Xander's father, is on the boat. He's like, no, we're turning this around, what are you thinking, whichever. He doesn't know there's some things going on with his dad, whichever, why his father was there. Because at first you're wondering, okay, why are you sleeping on the boat? So, of course, things come up throughout their discussion in the leeway of that when, of course, Ben, Chris, and Calvin have their little moment. Because, of course, Chris and Calvin, more so Calvin than Chris, he kind of, to me, goes along with the bandwagon, is like, why are you all of a sudden you're on this, whatever, you want to be this little, geologist or biologist person, whatever. He's like, he asked for my help, I'm going to help Xander. And he's like, I don't really care what you guys think or whichever. And clearly you can tell he does not really care. But I get what the whole point of Calvin, because he's like, you were with us, but then you decided this was beneath you. You got with Maggie, you're doing your own thing. Now all of a sudden you want to come in and out, whatever and all. So he's kind of hesitant about him. But then when things finally do come out, he's going to feel vindicated, trust and believe. That's going to be an issue that he's going to throw out there from time to time. You're not to be trusted. And you're not fully being honest, so that's what they're going to think. So, but moving from that, of course, Xander and his father have a moment alone, and he kind of tells him he's going through things with his mother, and this is the only thing he has left right now at the moment. This is his sanctuary, and this is where he's been resting, whatever, because there's problems at home. So Xander, unbeknownst to him, because he's all about the mermaids or whatever, he's not realizing there's problems at home that he should be more focused on than worrying about going into the water on the boat, whatever, and getting himself in a situation he can't handle. Now back to Ren. She's, of course, being, interrogated. And, of course, she has no way of how an interrogation goes. So he's asking her, do you know this man? And he's like, yes. And he's just waiting for her to open up and say more, as you would think somebody would say when they're being interrogated, regardless if you have counsel. And he just keeps having to ask her. She's like, yes. It's like, how did you know him? It's like, in his car. He says, then what happened? It moved. And it's just so funny. It was rather hysterical watching the scene because you could tell he's slightly frustrated because he's not understanding why this woman is speaking to me like this. I'm asking her questions. She's not giving me more information. She's not worried about a counsel being there, so why is she not telling me more? But that's just the way she talks. So when he's asking her more questions, she brings up, Maggie and Ben helping. He's like, my Maggie. So of course he asks one of his officers to go get Maggie. She doesn't understand. But of course her father lets it be clear. We had a pact when you were younger, since you were 10, to always be honest. You were not honest with me. So since that, I'm going to let Ren tell me more. And that's when it comes out. She finally has to be honest with her father and explain to him, how is it that this young lady? What is it about her? What are you doing for her? She trusts me. Okay, she's going to trust you. So if I go in there and you speak with her, she'll open up more and tell me more. So she brings her in there. Of course, she's happy to see her, Ren seeing Maggie, and she tells her, that Ben went out there, and she becomes frightened, scared for Ben because she knows Donna is going to hunt. She's going to do this, not realizing there's a lot more that's going to happen out there on the water. So she's like, I gotta get her. She's like, Sheriff's not having it. You're going to tell me more. He's like, that's when it becomes clear to Maggie and to Ren that they have to be honest with her father and tell him everything. When he told her stories from some sort of folklore in the past to explain to her, things that you told me about shapeshifters, he says that was all tales. No, it's not tales. It's actually true. So he makes him go get, one of his coffee, cup holders, puts water from his fish tank in it because that's the actual water he needs to show him what he needs to see to believe his daughter. And trust and believe me, that particular scene was eye-opening because that's when he knew there's certain shapeshifters among you, is mermaids among you. It is all true. Even if you wanted to tell your daughter these stories when she was younger to think it was all in fun, it's just not just all fun and games. It actually is real. So that was a nice little eye-opening. So now her father in the midst knows it. So that means we have Helen, of course. We know she knows. And, of course, we have her father, the sheriff. So I love that some people that they feel they can trust are now in the loop. So from there, it goes back and it shows the boat out there, and it shows them coming in contact with the other boat that Admiral Harrison has sent out there, but there's nobody on there. There's spears on there. There's blood. That's when the guy's like, you know what? We need to get off this boat. And that's when they decide to get off the boat, and they get back on theirs. But then, of course, they start to leave. The engine starts when something happens. And let me tell you, the scene where Donna, it looks like she's throwing the spears. At first, you're not fully aware and sure. But then, of course, we have a little surprise where Donna's not the only one in the water. We have a merman. And I was just like, really? Because I didn't see that part coming. I really thought it was just Donna causing havoc because she's truly hunting. But it seems like we are being introduced to more mermaids, and I'm so here for it. So that was a good scene because, of course, eventually when they were throwing spears out there, that merman came on top of the ship, and he is just walking with his fin, trying to get an upper hand on Ben. And of course, as Xander comes, he's got the shotgun, and they're trying to. Then, of course, Chris is almost under a trance by Donna, and it's going out of havoc. They're trying to get the car, the boat to start. Xander's, father's like, go help your boys, whatever. Let me get this started. So of course they push him into like a shaft, or whatever, because they shot his fin. But which happens. They can deteriorate when they're on dry land, and of course he's walking around now because he busts the door down. And the sad thing is that Xander left his dad by himself, and poor thing, I mean, it was just so sad because he ends up getting hurt with one of the spears, so they are not there, whatever. He's left his father so unprotected, and I felt so bad at that scene. So he eventually leaves out of it because they know he's coming up there to find out what happened to his father. He gets a couple licks in, but the guy turns around, you see his face, whatever, and he jumps off of the ship. Donna had already got jumped off because Ben used something to knock him off before she tried to grab Chris, or try to kill him, whatever she planned to do. And yes, that scene, and then it kind of shows them the next part of the scene where they're trying to decide what to tell the people, and they're like, do you think they'll believe us? They'll say, yeah, we were out here with Aquaman, and and this is what we saw, whatever. They'll throw them in the loony bin and strap them up. They'll never get out, whichever. So then Ben comes up with an idea, they're like, your father got injured, at sea or something and fell over, whatever. So Xander kind of goes along with it because they're like, they have no way to get out of explaining to them how his father get killed. What are you going to tell them? It's like, how could this have happened? So they wrap him up and they throw him overboard. And it was just such a sad scene for Xander because it's like, this is not what he wanted. He never wanted to get his father into a dire situation where he would lose his life. And you just had to feel for him. But like I said, with Xander, he jumps into stuff, he doesn't really think it through, and then certain things do end up happening. And then with this one, he lost his father in the process. You gotta feel for the guy because it's just like all these emotions are going through him because he was the one, they all carried him, and then they stood back, let him grab him at the end, and then he dumped him over, and he just stood there. And of course Ben's in the back looking at him, and it's just like more and more on top of the situation because it's like this situation happened. He has to go home and tell his mother. They have to plan a funeral, of course. It's it's just, and it's like more lies to hide behind, for them not to be able to explain, and then Ben not being able to fully be honest and telling them everything they need to know. So it's just a lot going on, in this particular episode. Now the last part is where sheriff explains to the officer that Maddie does corroborate the story of Ren. So, she was let go. And of course, the officer doesn't buy. He's like, "Are you telling me my daughter's a liar?" He's like, "No, sir." He's like, "Okay." And he, stepped away. But of course, it shows a pan on the officer, but she has nothing to really go on as well. So it's like, what else are you going to do? So, that's kind of what it, ends with that part. But it does show the scene of Xander out there on the boat by himself. And of course, it shows Ben standing there looking at him. And you can just tell he feels for his friend. And it kind of goes off. So my thing is, the next episode, I'm assuming from what they showed, is like a funeral, and it kind of shows Xander kind of having a little bit of a meltdown. And of course, Helen telling Ben to watch out for Ren, because if he gets any whiff that she's a mermaid, it will not be good for her. And it wouldn't be good for him either, because she is strong. Just ask Alden Decker, because we do see scenes with him where you can see the after effects of her grabbing him by his neck in the air, and he has markings on his neck, and he's in his hotel or whatever. And I did forget the scene where it shows Harrison saying that's why Alden wanted them to stop their search out on the water, whatever. He was like, "I told you," but he says, "No, we didn't do anything. You didn't listen to me when I told you. That's why you lost your crew." Really didn't see too much of Alden, but you do see him listening to music, basically from the humming and the beautiful sounds of what Don was doing to kind of put him in a trance, and he keeps listening to that. So he's definitely like in a trance. Every time he thinks of her, it's like he just can't seem to shake it, that hold she has on him. So you can tell he really he wants to get her back in his grasp. You can clearly tell. But it was not going to go like that in last episode, because you had a syringe. You were going to try to drug her again after what she'd already been through. He didn't learn, and Ren had to show him. So I don't feel for Alden Decker at all. Whichever, he got what he deserved. He's lucky he's not dead if it wasn't for Ben and Maggie. So, but like I said, I want to see more enactment, like I said, with Helen. I want to see how things are going to turn out with Xander, if he's going to be on a mission now, because he will never be able to consider liking a mermaid at all. I don't know. Things could change. You never know. If we get picked up for a season 2 for this show, they could probably go into more storyline and development with him with that. But all bets are off now. One of them killed his dad. He's not here for it. So you already know how he feels. And Ben should already know he's not going to be able to reason with him right now. He is pissed. And his friends are going to be right there, Chris and Calvin, to help him, however he needs, if they choose to go back out there now. His father left him the boat. It's now his, as he told him right before he passed. So we'll have to see how that's going to pan out. But I'm excited. Like I said, I'm enjoying these episodes. It's being done very well. I look forward to seeing if the sheriff's going to find out Helen knows as well, so more people will be in the loop so they can protect him, because they're going to need all the people to protect Ren for sure, because Maggie and Ren have a good bond, and I think she has a good bond with Ben, but she really has a good bond and trusts Maggie, so they're going to protect her at all costs. So I'm just looking forward to seeing more development with Ren. Hopefully Don will show up again. I want to know what's going to happen with that merman, the male. I didn't expect a male. That totally caught me off guard. I'm excited for that, and I love that we're seeing more creatures underwater. So we'll have to see if Maggie or Ben lets it be known to Helen. That's when we're going to see if Helen, comes into contact with saying anything else about that, or kind of giving little, subliminal messages of how to deal with the situation, or we might get a flashback soon. I want a flashback of Helen's life as a mermaid so bad. So that's just how I feel, you guys. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm looking forward to episode 8. And with that said, I will see you guys on the next review. You guys take care.